You're listening to the Goof and Grunt podcast, where a couple nerds talk all things tabletop role-playing. Here we reflect on our experience, looking for wisdom to make us better players at the table, and hope to give you something to bring back to yours.
When you talk about one-page RPGs, I'm ready. I'm pumped, actually. So I'm looking forward to this discussion a little bit.
I find the concept of the one-page RPG very interesting, and also like this shining gem just beyond my reach, because I'm very bad at siphoning down or carving down a concept into something I can fit on one page.
I mean, that's part of the magic, though, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, some recently discovered, and I'm just like, it's opened up this whole new avenue, right? Like, I love a good rule book. You and I both know this. We both got shelves full of them, right? Like, I even enjoy the games. Like, even if I know I'm never going to play it, I buy these things at the cons just to read through them and just to get the ideas, just to see what other people have done. And I feel like you get that in like bite-sized chunks, but they're like distilled down to the most important stuff only, right? In these one-page things, because everyone is having the same challenge where they're like, get it all on one page. But anyway, I just discovered this as we were talking about, and it's fascinating. I'm really, just eating it up.
Yeah, 100%. I'm on the same page. Like I have shelves and shelves of books that I may never actually play the game of, but I'm always hunting for like some new mechanic, some new tidbit that just makes the game at the table more fun. Like I'm always trying to find something I'm going to add. I'm excited to talk about this. I think we got a plan. First, we're going to talk about one-page RPG jams, what our experiences are with them. Then we're going to talk about design philosophy and the craft of these games. And then you have cooked up your own one-page game. Basically, you've got like it written up from some ridiculous throwaway comment that I made, which I'm super excited to walk through.
Yeah, definitely the idea of solo RPGs and stuff is very antithesis to what my understanding of my enjoyment of RPGs and TTRPGs is in general, right? It's like all about the communal storytelling and like the thing we're doing together and the vibes. It's like a very communal activity. It's an us activity, right? And so to embark on it on my own is a little weird, or like the idea of it, I always kind of like strayed away from. But it's fascinating. It's definitely like a part of play, like you said, is just kind of like booming, and there's definitely demand for it. It's one of the things that I know I've seen from working at the booth, right? Like the number of people who come and ask, like, oh, is there a solo mode? Can I play alone? Like, how many players do I need? There's certainly like appetite for those kinds of games. But you also mentioned kind of like what's the difference between a board game and an RPG, and it's an interesting point, right? At what point do you consider it? Like, does it change, and like, does it matter if you're playing solo anyway, right? Like, it doesn't. You're just finding a way to, problem solve or pass the time or do something entertaining for yourself. It's not just scrolling on your phone or something like that.
Sure.
But
definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. Definitely in the one-page space, it seems like there's a lot of solo-focused content, or at least the ones that I've engaged with are primarily for solo content, but you can play them together.
One of the things that I read again since looking into researching stuff for this conversation is the MDA white paper, which is mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics. This is something that's mentioned in Skeleton Code Machines or Exowit Omni's Exowit Press. They make the Make a One-Page RPG book. Basically, it's like a 40 some odd page book on HIO that you can download. And in there is referenced this white paper from 2004, I think. But mechanics are describing the particular components of the game. Mechanics are the actions that you're taking. Like how are you actually technically having a game here? And dynamics is describing the runtime behavior of the mechanics acting on players' input. and each other's outputs over time. So it's kind of like how those mechanics interface with each other between the player and the game, and the what the designer put in place for the player to experience, and then how the player actually uses that or ignores it. And then aesthetics describe the desirable emotional responses that are evoked in the player. So when that person interacts with the game or the system, like the designer is trying to invoke some response from the player, and how successful is that? So uh, all of this kind of is in the soup between board games and TTRPGs, and I think there's just a different weight and a different stuff. Since we're talking about it already, I feel like we might as well just talk about design aspects. We can always come back to specific games if you have one in mind, but I wanted to list through the types of fun that is in the MDA, because that's like a basis for moving the discussion to, like, what kind of fun do you have? What kind of fun can you design for? There's eight types of fun in TTRPG or in gaming that is suggested by the MDA. So one is sensation, gaming as a sense pleasure. Number two is fantasy, game as make believe. Number three is narrative, game as drama. Number four is challenge, game as obstacle course. Number five is fellowship, game as social framework. Six is discovery, game as uncharted territory. Seven is expression, game as self-discovery. And eight is submission, game as pastime. So I want to kick it over to you in a second here to kind of get your mix of like what you think is the most fun. I always think this is cool to like see what you think is fun and what I think is fun and where they overlap. But I think for most TTRPGs and most games in general, like fellowship is high for me. Like the game is a social framework. I spend a lot of time trying to pick games that I know are going to be enjoyable for whatever group I'm trying to play with. And it's kind of games are kind of how I connect with people in general. It's like my preferred thing to be doing. Sitting around playing a game together, I feel like is the fastest way to kind of get a grasp on like each other's personalities, and to actually like put everybody at the table engaged into some activity that leads to something. Usually that leads to a narrative, which leads to like just experiences and connection points around like, oh, that one time we did this, or one time we did that, or the meta at the table between rounds of strategy games where people get more and more salty and butthurt, and you'll have one player that gets a reputation for being good at something, and everybody else gangs up on them, that kind of stuff. And so,
not
not at all.
I don't really know what you're talking
You've
about.
never heard of such a thing, huh? Well, so like I like all of them, but those are my biggest two are probably fellowship, narrative, and then all the other ones are in there for sure. But like, what's like your top two?
Okay, well, let me ask you real quick. I just want to make sure I got these again. Can you rifle them off real quick? Just so I go through. I was paying attention, but I didn't catch the key words. I was like mostly listening, because this is actually a new concept for me. Like, I actually haven't read through that.
I'll definitely send you this
white page document that you
after the fact.
Yeah, you just definitely send that to me afterwards. But yeah, I'm interested.
So I'll list them off. You tell me which two hit you like as like your top two. So one is sensation, sense pleasure. Two is fantasy, make believe. Three is narrative, drama. Four is challenge, obstacle course. Five is fellowship, social framework. Six is uncharted territory, it's discovery. Seven is expression, self discovery. And eight is submission, which is game as pastime. I don't really get why submission is game as pastime, but basically having a game that you're just playing as like a traditional pastime. Do any of those kind of jump out at you?
Yeah. So the two right away that jump out at me is challenge. First of all, I like the games. I love the impossible situation. What kind of games I like. The things that I enjoy playing, right? And so like being thrown into something that you're not supposed to win, that is supposed to be challenging, that it's like very difficult, right? And to do that together creates moments for, I don't know, something interesting to happen. And that's like really what I'm looking for at the game. Someone to do something unexpected in the face of something very challenging, right? And that's like, can be both puzzles and also just like the way the game is designed, right? So like I'm a little bit less on the puzzles. Like I know we've had a couple of those in RPG sessions where there's like, yeah, there's like 14 levers and you gotta pull them in the right, algorithmic, like they're all numbers of pi or something. Okay, well, I'm checking out on that one a little bit because it's not the kind of challenge that I'm looking for, but more so like this idea that like in Kingdom Death or in like some of these other things where it's like the monster that you know to be facing down, you have no business facing down, but you're going to try anyway, and you're going to do something crazy. I love that. I really enjoy challenging things. If there's a, in Scythe, right? Like I really enjoy the Tokugawa shogunate, right? They're not supposed to win. They're underdogs. They're pretty universally accepted as like a bad faction.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it. And I like playing the traps, and I like doing that. If I can make something interesting happen and I can make someone choose a non-optimal path to deal with something I'm doing, then I've successfully played that game.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's very interesting. It's okay. So what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is like, so challenge is real high for you, but that challenge has to fit into an expected kind of like approach avenue. Or else you're just going to make your own fun, and you're going to make your own challenge and be like, I'm going to figure this out over here.
100%, which is why the second one for me is expression, right? The second one that like just popped out was just expression, right? Because then it's like, okay, well then you're a paladin, and that is a choice that is like one of 7 choices in the book and yada, yada. But what does that mean to you? And what do you do with that is what I find interesting and enjoy about that, and especially with RPGs, right? That was the aha moment. We mentioned before we're both extremely lucky to play with Adam and things. Like he plays a priest every game, but it's not the same priest, and they have very memorable, distinct characters and all that stuff, right? It's like that's just, I know that's player's skill, but it's just expression, and that makes it memorable, and it makes it a great thing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I think in both cases, both of these things, both challenge and expression, really. I don't know if you've read through Name of the Wind.
I've started it.
Patrick
I've started
Rothfuss
it, but I have not finished it. I have the audiobook.
Yeah, no worries. It drags, and he's never going to finish the book. So don't rush. Probably you've got another decade, right?
Uh-huh.
He'll release it when Winds of Winter.
Yeah, they'll come out at the same time.
There's an interesting segment in the second book of that where he's playing. There's I believe Knack is the name of the game or something like that, but it's a that universe's version of chess, right? Mm-hmm. Or something like it. And Wormwood has actually produced the rules and like actually made this whole thing.
A real world version of it?
Yeah. Okay. It's actually very cool. It's totally a sidebar, but anyway. So they're playing this game, but you can think of it as chess. And he plays with this guy. He's an acquaintance that's their main feature of their relationship is playing this game. And the main character, he always loses and loses and loses, but he gets better and better and better. When he finally beats him, then he gets real high and mighty on himself and tells him, he's like, well, now I'm an excellent player at this game. And so then he's like, okay, we'll reset the board. And the guy beats him in like 3 or 4 moves, like several times in a row.
Woof.
And yeah. And so he says, like, this was just a really like, this stuck out to me because this is like very much the way that I play games. That it's like, it's not actually that interesting or fun to play a game in a way that is just formulaic and like can be won. So that the one guy is clearly better than the other player, right? When the player's skill level is so vastly different. But he plays down to the level of his opponent so that it keeps it interesting, right? He'll give up almost like when you play chess with a handicap, where you like give up some key pieces at the beginning to make it harder for yourself. You give yourself a handicap, put yourself at a disadvantage to even the playing field, because a beautiful game, a game well played, is more satisfying than a game won.
Yes, I definitely feel that.
So that's definitely where I end up, and I feel like both of these things, challenge and expression, lead into that, and that is a core belief of mine, right? That a game well played is more satisfying and more worthwhile than a game won.
Yeah, I think we definitely are on the same page there. The self-discovery thing, I think I can think of a lot of examples where I'm here at the table just playing this game just to see if I can figure one thing out, or if I can just mess with the guy at the table that's being a bully and keep anti-king make him, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm definitely
the vagabond
right
and pop out of the woods and kind of just decide the game in one turn late game.
Yeah, I think that's part of why there's people that love Root and people that absolutely hate Root, is because it's like this game goes to 30 and you just obliterated any chance I had of winning because you just didn't like the thing that I did last turn. I'm like, yeah, well, that's true. But
that's true.
That's really interesting though, because I look for these games that create these situations where it's not a solved game, and it's so far from a solved game that it's different every time you play, no matter what. And the variables, the number of things that could possibly be different in every iteration, like in a TTRPG, it's just infinite. I think that's why I love it. I love it so much. Is like once I've gotten to this experience where I'm running a game and it's just basically improv with rules, and it scratches this itch that I don't think anything else does. Board games come close because the thing I like about board games is that they try to create an even playing field. Even the asymmetric games, they try to make it so that's an even playing field every time, so that the decisions are interesting from each faction, which I think is good. So like, but the self-discovery every single time, I feel like I'm discovering something. Like you mentioned, like chess, and you've played chess with me. I play with Rich. I play with my dad. I win very rarely against any of the three of you.
Yeah,
but I still do it, and I know when I'm thinking about it and like really into it and making good moves, and I know when I'm just like throwing a move from the toilet, and I could throw away an entire game doing that. But like playing live chess feels so good, even if I get my butt whooped. Like I feel like if I'm able to focus and like be there in the moment with the opponent, and like you're really learning something about yourself and your opponent at the same time.
There's always something to be improving on or like trying with, right? It's like, you have an opening and you have responses. You remember what happened last time. I don't know. I feel like you and I are a lot more evenly matched than those other two. I just get handed games left and right. I don't think I've beat Richie but once, maybe. And it was not even supposed to happen. I think he threw it away.
He's good, man. He's all red.
But yeah. I don't know. That's all right. But I think that's interesting too. Another point to make, and this is, dangerous, heading down like a sidebar, but you mentioned how board games attempt to control this idea of balance, right? And I don't know if I shared this with you. Maybe I did or didn't, but Ian Hazekostas is like, head of World of Warcraft and all this stuff. He gave a speech kind of looking back on a decade of being the head of this game. And it was at a game development conference, right? And I know this is not board games, but I bring it up because it's talking about game balance. Mm-hmm. And the thing that he brought up, which I found really interesting, is you're aware of StarCraft 2, which has come out, I don't know how many years now, it might be 20, which is just insane.
Good Lord, are you serious?
It's maybe it's 15, but it's a long time now. The point is, they have not released a balance patch for this in years, right? It's been several years since the last design balance patch. However, it's still played competitively. And what is interesting about this, you remember this is a 3-faction game. And so with no changes to balance, the win rates of the different races have continued to shift over time.
Really?
Meaning that basically there is not like an objective correct balance to the game. It is the way it is. Some of it is the way people play and the way they respond to what people are playing. And I know this is online and it's a different sort of thing, but I do find it interesting, right? And I think this is one of the reasons that I love Root and some people don't, is that I think if you played that game 1,000 times, 1,000 times with your same group of friends, it would continue to change, and like it would be interesting. Like I could play the birds or the rats the same way every time, and people would respond. They would remember how I played them and shut it down. And I love it. I think that is fascinating and great, right? And it's like I was beat badly once by my friend who did this thing, and I will not make that mistake again. And there's some of that, you know, in a game that's basically locked in, like they're not making any balance changes anymore, and yet the win rates shift dramatically. We're talking like 40 to 60%, like that it goes, you know, Protoss suddenly are up in the meta, and you know the Koreans are beating everybody with them because they're just responding to what everybody was playing. And so there's some element of that in design where you just gotta like account for the human, I guess, ingenuity and response to what it is people are going to play and how they want to play with your game and interact with it. And it's like, you may design a perfectly balanced game, but it doesn't matter, right? Like it actually doesn't matter, because like someone will find like the most optimal thing, but it's only optimal under the scenarios that assume that everyone plays one way. You shift the way that works, and then all of a sudden it's not optimal and everyone beats you. Like it's fascinating to me. If I haven't shared that with you, I will find it and get it. It's worth your 30 minutes to watch this guy talk about it.
100%. This definitely, like as you're talking about it, I'm just like feeling it under my skin. I'm like, that thing to me is exactly what I look for in games. And like you're saying with Root, like the reason I love playing it no matter what, and I buy every expansion, and all it does is create more and more and more options, is that I love that like fucking soup, you know, that you can get where it's like you cannot fully guess what they're going to do. You can try to strategize, and if you get a group together that plays the same game enough times, you're going to start to see patterns and like things that people have preferences for, but you can't even get to that unless you've played it many, many, many times. Like we played Scythe a bunch of times. I wanted to play like Twilight Imperium. Like this is one of the reasons it's one of the still most well-loved games that's out there, is because it is so balanced, but there's asymmetric play in each, you know, species that you pick. It's infinitely replayable, and I call that depth. Like when I'm talking about a game or a TTRPG, to me that's depth. That's like, how many different ways can you do this same activity that's divorced from the mechanics, as far as like the replayability is not because of the mechanics themselves. The replayability is because of all the dressing around the mechanics. Like I love that kind of stuff. Also, while you were talking, I looked up the release date of StarCraft 2, July 27th, 2010. So I feel very old. That's
15 years.
15 years,
yeah.
man.
So, okay.
From StarCraft
yeah,
2.
Okay. That's what it was for. Yeah. All right. So not 20. We're not there yet, but you want to cry a little bit. Look up the release date of Lion King.
Oh my God.
see what that's all about.
Yeah, I used to listen to that the audio, the soundtrack on repeat on CD, because I'm old.
Yeah.
June 15th, 1994. Holy cow. Awful. Thank you
Back
for
when
that.
times were good. That was before the Bulls had really won a bunch of championships. They were the dynasty. They were becoming the dynasty.
They hadn't repeated the three-peat yet. But yeah, so like even though it's not a board game or a TTRPG, like I feel like the game design aspect definitely fits right into what we're talking about.
It does. And because I don't know, they're kind of inseparable in my mind, because I know, not everyone who loves board games loves video games, not vice versa, but there's a significant overlap in the two, right? And a lot of those things they influence one another, right? Like, if you go back, and I didn't realize this at the time when we were, a bunch of idiot kids and playing EverQuest. If you look at the spell books, like I went back last winter and kind of messed around with it. It was free to play on Steam, and got on there. Look at, do yourself a favor and go look at the spell books for the stuff that they have. And so what's really interesting to me about this is the spell books for the classes are straight out of the SRD, like the D&D.
Are they?
Like they're just straight out of it. Like stuff, dancing lights, conjure fire, conjure food, like all this stuff that you get at these levels. The very first original like iteration of this game, it was just D&D, but online. Yeah, and it's crazy to me. And like that's what the original game was like. It diverged very far from that, but like I guess my point is that they're like kind of inseparable. Is like the thing that kicks off this catalyst of all of this online gaming, and to become the broad appeal that it is today, started as a bunch of dudes who love D&D, just for like, what if we put it on the computer? Right? Like, what if we could take our weekly RPG game and make it a nightly grind, Yeah. Karner's Castle or whatever, right? Like, that was the thing that they did, and they did it. And that's really cool to me to go back and experience that, right? Like, those spell books, those classes were straight out of D&D.
This brings me back to like the discussion on like OSR and discovering old stuff that's then revamped and like brought into the modern day. Like, as anyone will know that I talk to, I love Shadow Dark because it's basically like the original old school game kind of brought up to like for modern day players, right? This is a very interesting concept, linking it back to EverQuest also being from like older D&D, is like, how many things do you like look back on that you really enjoy, and it just ended up being some version of a thing that was really awesome back in the day, and then like they made it accessible in another way. And then over time, it gets like, it diverges and becomes something that isn't as good, and then comes back to that original thing. Like, I love, absolutely. One of the things that I love about reading OSR materials is like, I have this vision of the game in my head that I've never still yet successfully played. We've mentioned before that like you, me, and Rich, we did like a three group shared map D&D game during high COVID times, and it didn't work for 5e because 5e is not set up for it. It's too narrative driven, too specific to the people at that table. But I have this vision of wanting to play a version of D&D in a hex exploration that's a little bit more like interchangeable groups that are like West March's style, that are exploring and discovering a hex map, as well as developing a story and narrative through the play of the game. And I'm always working on something in that direction, but like I have yet to really make that work. But I think the OSR style of game, if you look up the OD&D rules, the like zero D&D, the original stuff that like use chainmail as like the rules for fighting and the rules for having group battles, like that was the game that existed then, that I have like this want to play that I didn't even know existed before I found that. And it's very interesting to like look back and be like, oh, this is what people were doing in the 70s. At least this is how it's described. I can't say for sure, but I think a lot of people were doing that game. It was like a simulation war gamey, multifaceted experience that got drilled down into like small groups going into dungeons under castles. And the context that's missing when you do only the dungeon crawling under castles in like a D&D 4e or whatever, like the context that is missing there can be injected back in by looking back. and the context that makes your character not just the paladin that's here stomping domes and doing lay on hands, but is someone that has a reason for being where they are, has a hometown, has like projects going on, has like a castle that they're building. Like it just makes for this infinitely more interesting tapestry of stuff that's going on.
One point of lay on hands, if you're playing optimally, Alex, because that's how divinity works. You're like, just enough to get you back up, but I have 64 of these bad boys. I only give you one. but first of all, let me respond a little bit by disagreeing and saying that I don't feel like that game was not a success. That West March's style thing that we tried to run, I think it was challenging in the sense that there were everyone started in the same town. And, if I could do it again, I'd probably have each of the GMs start in a different town. And they'd have control of the NPCs and stuff in that area. And once, the adventurers went far enough into another place, they'd hand them off to another GM or something. So I think that was the real challenge, was the inconsistency between the same NPCs. So two tables had a very different, experience of the same core town, like mayor or priest. And it was just like, okay, well, not necessarily the problem unless one player wants to drop in and drop out, which was the original design, right? So then that's like, you create some continuity problems. But I think if you have people who are in charge of certain areas or certain things or aspects of the game, it works. Could do it again. But I don't know. I mean, I think it was generally successful and definitely memorable to me as a great campaign. But
when I say unsuccessful, I just mean reaching this pinnacle vision that I have for the game that will probably never be reached. But was the game super awesome and enjoyable for what it was? Absolutely. I'm still playing a weekly 5e game in the group that you ran for that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's
great. This is a great group.
Those guys, I was trying to get them to play D&D for probably 2 years before you ran them. And now they're like, they've seen the light and they fucking love it.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous. I continued on and I kind of fizzled out. I got very busy at work and couldn't put in the time to keep running it, but I'm so pleased,
I have this ultimate vision for a game, and watching the Critical Role people set up season 4 with a West Marches style thing that's it's got the Critical Role spin on it, so everything's super lore heavy, and they got Brendan Lee Mulligan running it, so it's beautiful vignettes and everything's just so well orchestrated. It's absolutely impossible to to copy, which I don't even want to copy it, but it makes me be oh my God, all I want is just I want no day job. This is all I'm doing is creating these awesome experiences and then making my friends play through them and then seeing what happens. It's just absolute wet dream.
It's hard not to get excited about it, even so. But I mean, I think, steering us back to, what we're talking about here, I think that is part of what I have been kind of voraciously devouring some of these one-page things is about, though, right? Is this kind of discovery or this hype, or you get something where it's distilled down to the core essence or an idea of a game, and it's all in it's all there and it's digestible, and so you can kind of churn through it. It's really hard not to have somebody's interpretation of that and get excited or be okay, well, let's start rolling some dice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You go through the design, you kind of get to what this person was going for, right? I think there's probably 3 things that you really need, these well thought out one-pagers, right? They have a strong core concept, right?
Yeah.
They have simple, kind of intuitive mechanics that it's okay, well, I can read this a little bit and I understand it. They're very information dense, right? They say a lot with very few words because they kind of have to.
Mm-hmm.
and then like the architecture of kind of how they lay out the information is like easily digestible and like a quick reference, right? You got like two sides of a sheet of paper to kind of like get it done.
Yep.
And so like if they have those three things, it's really hard not to feel like excited and be like, let's start.
They seem to pick one to three types of fun that they're trying to hit, that they're trying to target, and then there's usually like 2 to 3 mechanics, and then they'll do something that I see written in like good dungeon design books is they put some kind of time constraint. So I think this is something that you've talked about before. Is like, how do you constrain it? And the constraint focuses it, right? So one example that I have here is Exclusion Zone Botanist from Skeleton Code Machine, Exoit Press. Basically, the whole game is you're just drawing like leaves or foliage from going to this very corrupted zone that can't take any tech.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts out by providing you with, here's the types of leaves that exist, here's the types of stems, and then like you can roll to see which ones you're supposed to draw. But the whole point of the game is like you're going to be drawing stuff that you see in the exclusion zone. This is a special place. You have to go as far as you can without just being corrupted and turned into part of the forest. So right away, it's got a strong concept. You go in and you get out, and if you don't get out, you die. And then your goal, strong goal, your goal is to draw something cool, to draw something fun that you find in the exclusion zone. So the player's imagination comes into play where they're like, I may be told what kind of leaf or thing it has on it, but I'm going to be sketching this plant life in this corrupted, futuristic, apocalyptic zone. And it could be whatever you want, but like you've got a solid foundation. And then it gives you like a twist, right? So there's unusual features. There's a 2d6 list of possible features. All of that stuff that I just listed is on like 1/3 of one side of this threefold pamphlet. And then it gives you like a small map and and a small time frame. Like you basically have a maximum of six steps. And then, how do you roll for whether you find something new or not? And then if that fails, how do you roll for how corrupted you get? And then, so that's up to mechanics number 2. Number 3 is like the corruption itself. The third mechanic is like how you actually die. Basically, there's a checkbox, and anytime that you have to check off something on this list, you can get up to 6, and once you get 6, you just die. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how well justice I did it there, but basically in a threefold double-sided pamphlet, you have your goal, you have the complete expanse of what you might be doing, both on the paper and off the paper.
Yeah,
which I think is something that one-page RPGs do a lot of. Is they'll suggest a lot of things that happen off the paper. Whereas, a big rule book is going to explicitly explain every single little thing. You just don't have the room for that here. And then one thing that's like super always included in these that are good is, what do you need to actually play this game? So this is like, you need a couple D6, you need a notebook, sketchbook that you can draw in, pen, pencil, and then that's it. And something I really like about these kinds of games, and when I think about trying to make one, is like, if you have a couple resources for the player, whether they're like printable, whether they're just like something that like comes off of the pamphlet or is an insert, like you can really up the experience for the player, and you can really push them in a direction.
I guess the best versions of these one-pagers, right? You can kind of explain the game in one sentence.
Yes, but I agree with you, but also I'd like to segue this into SWAT. So I want you to give the one sentence pitch for SWAT, and then I want to walk through SWAT.
Okay. I mean, I can give you the breakdown, probably with a little bit of like background on this is like necessary, or like why this even came up. Because you had actually written an article on your Substack about this, where it was like you were responding actually to something that I shared you. This is to show like the kind of reactionary nature, like our scattered brains, a circular loop, right? Where like I sent you something about this guy who was, he thought he was writing a hit piece on like, our RPGs too dark or whatever. Right?
Yes, do RPGs have a grimdark problem?
Yeah, they have a grimdark problem, right? And I think there's a lot to talk about. That's probably a whole other episode. So let's not dive into that. But as part of that, response, you had said, like, one of the points you maintained was the theme doesn't mean anything. It's about the players at the table, and that you can make an RPG about living life as a fly. And at the same time that you made that post, that I was also kind of, I had just discovered these one-pager things with this other guy who's super active on Substack, the Whiskey, Blood, and Dust gentleman, the publisher there. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he did for this game jam this like post-apocalyptic kind of Mad Max. It's called Drug Pilgrims of the Apocalypse. I had just played through it as part of something that I was doing, like researching the thing. I loved it. It was really like my experience of it. And so that, in conjunction with your like offhand statement about living life as a fly, I decided I would do just that to kind of exercise my, muscles a little bit, or like stretch myself, because also, we love complexity. You and I gonna get carried away on different things, and the challenge of constraining yourself to a single page is really, I don't know, it's a very appealing thing. So SWAT is the game that I came up with for that. This is basically my swing at a one-page thing, which, we'll be putting it out in the real world at some point here. But if I could sum it up, if I give you the one-sentence pitch, it's really simple. So you are a housefly, and your lifespan is 24 hours. So your whole goal in this game is to find a mate and seed the future in some exquisite piece of rotting matter, and then go out in a blaze of glory.
I love it.
So the full pitch that I have written here is basically just that, right? It's like, you're a common housefly hatched from a squirming maggot. You have 24 hours to live and fulfill your biological imperative. I know, by the way, and this is a discussion point, something that I do want to talk about here, that a real housefly does not live for 24 hours. That's a mayfly thing. But it felt thematically appropriate here in this game, because it creates this kind of absurdity and this frantic thing. Like, a real housefly will live for 30 days, or maybe a little less, 20 to 30 days, depending on male or female and biological stuff and all that. But I'm not Elizabeth Hargrave. I don't think at this point I have enough, scientific knowledge to make it fun and international hit about birds, right? I can't do it, right? So I just feels like it fits, and I just went with it.
So firstly, I think I was thinking of mayflies when I said it, and also I think you just have to keep it as a normal housefly, and you should explicitly state it as such, just to get people in the comments to be like, houseflies don't actually live only 24 hours. But that's not the point. Like you just said, it's the time constraint. And you got to go out in a blaze of glory after you seed the future. So I still think it's real friggin' strong goal and theme.
Yeah.
It's just on point. So I really want to hear how do you support the theme with the mechanics?
Yeah, sure. So just to follow up, I think it's true though, right? The ones that are really memorable are the one pages that I do. They embrace a kind of specific absurdity or weirdness, and I just tried to follow in those steps with this. So the way this works, this game that I have, is that basically it's 24 hours, which plays out over 12 turns. The whole point, what you're trying to do, is score these legacy points, and things that you do while playing will get you points, on each of your 12 turns. And if you manage to go out in a blaze of glory, it'll double your score, your legacy points. If you get a 10 plus, so this is kind of like a bonus thing. So if you score 10 or more legacy points, you may choose for the next playthrough that your legendary offspring, you begin with the mutations of your parent. right? And so you get immediately this kind of like stacking thing. So you see, I suggested some here. So let's begin with like creating a fly, right? So this one pretty directly comes from, I like the way that the drug pilgrims from the Whiskey, Blood, and Dust guy did it, where he give you a set of points and you just kind of distribute them, right? And so like it's going to be like a D8 roll for most things, and so your modifier for that roll is whatever stat it is. I gave you 3 kind of stats. You have wings, guts, and buzz. So I just kind of give you I give you kind of like the ideas about these. And this is one of those things that I actually really like about one-pagers is that they're not super specific, and they don't try to be. They're just trying to give you like enough to sit down and play and kind of like GM for yourself. So under these things, I have wings. This is stuff for like agility, speed, flight. It makes sense. Guts is like resilience, your appetite, like whether or not you can stomach. There's like a roll table down here for like sacred feasts and stuff, which is like, it's crazy. We'll get to it. But and then like buzz is like your senses, like social skill, finding things and all that. I think I missed one here, but the wings is also like mating, right? You like your ability to like attract a mate, because that's one of your
pretty wings will get it to you.
That's right. That's right.
Nice.
So
I love it, and I love the little lore injection with like the flies could have some personality if they're having a glorious feast upon a disgusting, soon to be maggot ridden piece of meat.
That's the whole point, right? It's like to do something a little bit disgusting. Like I gotta gross myself out a little bit, like writing some of these things. But like I think it's kind of the point. It's got to be like absurd. It's got to be weird, and it'll be memorable.
Love it.
This is gross. I love it. I want to keep going. So you create your fly by distributing points, right? You get 3 points. You can also, I kind of like this thing from like, old school RPGs and stuff, like gaming ones, where you can like remove from stats and put them in. So I basically said like, as you distribute your points, you can have a maximum of +2 and a minimum of -1, right? So if you're like, I'm not gonna get hit by anything, so I don't need any guts, so -1 guts, and then like I'm gonna put it all on wings to be the most spectacular fly. You can do that, and I don't care. Like, do it. It makes sense, I think, to let people kind of do what it is. So then you get into this own like specific flavoring of these things, and this is the mutations and why like kind of the legacy stuff matters, is that you get to pick one or create your own, and they should all have like a pro and a con. So like an idea would be like +1 to wings, or -1 to seeding success, right? Because you're gonna have to roll later to see whether or not you can do it. So really good at attracting mates, not so good at laying the eggs, right? So it's kind of like a pro and con that goes with it. And the way I wanted these to work is that they stack. And so like if you had an iridescent wings parent, you could then take iridescent wings again, and it's +2, -2. Just keep stacking, right? So like the idea would be that you could play like several flies, trying to hunt, for like that perfect fly to use as a parent for like future playthroughs and stuff like that, which I don't know, I find gross and kind of fun. I just like the idea of it.
It's very what's the word I'm looking for? It's like those video games where like you just keep dying and like, but you keep absorbing new experience every time.
Totally, right? Like the Bullet Heaven or some of those ones like Hades and stuff, where it's like the point is to go and fail, but you will get stronger each time you fail, and then eventually you come up with something that's like, okay, well now I can't not succeed, right? I just auto succeed because I'm so good at this thing. That's the idea. You're gonna have like a little bit of luck to get through and get your +10 on it, but like I think it'll happen, right? You roll a D8 enough, you're gonna hit the 8 and get critical success. So we've created our fly. We kind of have our core stats and our mutations. So we get to like the actual gameplay, and this is the other thing that one of the 3 things that I said they have to have is like kind of core mechanics that are like simple and intuitive, and that's really what this comes down to, right? So the world and the way you interact with it, it's all action and resolution. There's going to be a map on the back side of it, which is basically just boils down to 4 locations. The way I'm picturing it is kind of like 4 hexes where 2 of them don't touch, right? There's 2 kind of in between each other, or two right next to each other, and then one on each side, but you can't get to the far sides, right and left, without going through one of the others. So you have like just basically like a kitchen, living room, bathroom, and backyard. But and your whole goal, right, is to move. So you choose each turn to act or rest, essentially, right? Excuse me. So you choose each turn to act or rest, and you must rest eventually, because each turn that you don't, you take a fatigue, and if you reach 4 fatigue, you die. Which is, you'll see these things happening here, right? Like you just run out of gas, and then you get caught by something.
Yeah.
You know, the fly gets gassed, he gets swatted. So that happens. So the first thing in here is like the resolution table, right? So you're rolling your D8, and you've got, you know, like the various degrees of success. I kind of like that concept where there's like critical failures and critical successes. So basically, you know, resolving any action, you can choose whatever it is you're doing, right? Like I kind of leave it open. Like I give you some suggestions here where basically like, okay, like if you want to do a mating action, right? It's only possible if you're not where you started. So you can't be in the same location. You have to have moved once, right? You got to go to another location.
Okay.
And different from where you plan to seed. So if you're trying to lay your eggs in the kitchen, don't mate in the kitchen, right? So it's like kind of you
don't bang where you work.
Exactly, right? Just know what's going on. So anyway, but the thing is, like, it just means that you're gonna have to move. So you're gonna have to take some fatigue. You can't just like play this entire game acting in one.
Yeah, you got to plan out a couple
right?
moves for sure.
Yeah. So basically, like suggested actions, right? And I probably should reorder these in the way I have them. But like the first thing is probably going to want to do is like locate your rot. So you would be like a buzz roll, right? So you go, can I locate some rotting matter? If you look at the very bottom of it, there's like the third column. I might make this the middle column because it's probably the most like flavorful and like fun. But it's these are the roll tables for some of these things.
I like sacred rots.
Yeah, so these are your places where you can lay stuff, right? And so you can, you know, we can see this, but describing for anyone who's listening along, right? Multiple columns, right? So it's just a D6 table, but multiple columns in the row. And so you'll have something that's like the rot type, which, you know, is, you know, garbage slurry, right? And then where is it at? It's on the living room couch, which is absurdly disgusting, but sure, sure, there it is. So you know you need to go to the living room to get to the garbage slurry, and then there's a third column here, which is like how many points is it worth? So I leave this kind of open for interpretation, right? And
but you could roll like
specify
3d6 and get a different one.
I would roll 3d6 to do this, right? And that's exactly what I'm trying to imply here is like,
cool.
Roll it, see what you get, because like you may not like it, right? Let's say that the garbage slurry on the living room couch is only worth 1 legacy point, right? So it's only one legacy point.
But that's so cool. I love that it like adds lore to the location just instantaneously, and
right,
you're seeding the map at the same time.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
cool.
And I feel like I didn't necessarily want to have it be like so fixed, and like probably need to make some of these areas like more generic, because like even some of the things that I have here, right? So it's like, so what if you get like the the toilet bowl rim, but it's in the kitchen trash or something? Like it doesn't make sense, right? But it's like, okay, but it's in the kitchen, but it's a toilet
it could
bowl
work.
Rim.
I think the kitchen counter might be worse than the kitchen trash, but yeah.
Sure.
Why is this toilet rim on the kitchen counter?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I'm like, I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it needs to make sense. I know it's just like gross.
Dude,
and, like,
I don't
honestly,
know if it
like,
does.
It's still
you might be in a hoarder
because,
house.
like,
you might be in like fly heaven.
Exactly. Who am I to say, right? Like, I think that's the thing that these one pagers do really well. So like, I'm not trying to explain myself. Like, it doesn't have to make sense. I don't need like deep lore on this. It's just mechanically what I'm doing is I'm using my turn to locate rot, and I am hoping that I get like a +4 or a +5 legacy roll.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I do that, because if I do that and then I hit my Blaze of Glory, which is how I end the game, I am going to be able to pass on my mutation and then start again, with a better, stronger fly, right? The next time I play, and that's the whole point, is to like live fast, die awfully, and
Yes.
like have spawned something gross, like even more worse than you are.
I love it. What? So like I don't see a list of blazes of glory. So like is the blaze of glory a purely narrative mechanical thing, or is there
So it is.
some intended suggestions?
So yeah, so basically like so we did the locate, then you're gonna have to mate, right? So then that's another location that you do that. And then once you do those two things, so you have to basically in order to do the blaze of glory, right? So like here, if you look at that section there, so the blaze of glory. So let me just read you what I wrote, because I actually worked a lot on making this clear. So after completing mate and seed the future, you may attempt a blaze of glory. This doubles your legacy points.
Mm-hmm.
There are two paths for the blaze of glory. So basically, you've completed your two main objectives for this game, right? Like you made it at least once, and you seeded. You can only seed once. So we've completed our objectives. We can now end the game. So let's say that we're on like turn 8. You have 11 turns, right? So what we're looking for is to do any action and to roll a critical success. On a roll of 8 or higher, and remember you can add your attribute rolls to this, so if you have like really high buzz or wings or guts, it doesn't matter. You're going to choose an action that does that, and you want an 8+, you may choose to end the game in a blaze of glory. If you reach turn 12, you automatically get to blaze of glory, but you still have to roll like success. So basically it's like a two roll system, right? So you have to roll the 8, and you have to roll success for blaze of glory. There isn't a table for that because I want players to kind of come up with it, but I do give you some suggestions. So I have some here where you see like the types underneath it. So like the lover, you die in an act of mating.
Yes.
I didn't know this. I didn't know this. One of the ways that like flies actually do is they like bump into each other when they mate. Basically,
and
so
can they actually die from that?
Like midair? I don't know, but it sounds cool. Like you're crashing into another fly midair. Like what if?
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
No. I love the thematic option first. I was just curious if that was research based. It's just the thematic option.
No, it's just this thematic option, right? So then,
awesome.
You've got these other ones here. You got the martyr. Die defending your sacred rot.
Yeah.
The annoyance. Being fun. Like mechanically, right? All this does is it doubles your points.
Cool.
So it doesn't
if you successfully do this, so you can fail. Like you die, but not in a way that is talked about by your progeny or whatever.
Correct.
Got it. Cool.
And you can still reach 10 points, right? Without the blaze of glory. It's just like kind of a guaranteed sort of thing. So if you end the game on basically like if you end the game, the kind of the Helldivers thing where it's like if you end the game while the ship is, the door is closing and you jump in and everything, like, okay, great. Like this was
still successful even though half your team is dead. It's fine.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's all this is. So like it's literally that's it. That's the game.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, like yeah, it's just like first of all, I want to play at least once, and then second of all, like why do I want to keep playing? It's like to create this like legacy thing, right? Where I get some like super mutated fly. Now I think with the way that I've written this, like the mutation stacking and all this stuff, you could really extrapolate this and like take this to an extreme where it's like, okay, well I've created this fly that has like +6 iridescent wings and just auto succeeds on everything. But like, because I put the con on that of like -1 to seeding success, like it can't actually reproduce. So then it auto failed. Like you can't actually complete the game then. So like, there's some constraints on it. Like I think the maximums, right? It's never going to get like level 20 D&D levels, right? You probably won't succeed that many times or play that many times, but like, I don't think it matters. Like, I just don't think the balance matters that much. You can do it however you want it. Right.
If you had a player like play through and play like 6 flies through like a family tree, I feel like that's success. Like, you know, a couple
right.
times.
Like I would be over the moon
Yeah,
if somebody played it twice. You know, I'd be like,
awesome.
oh, I'm so pumped, dude.
I think it's fucking cool. Like we should definitely give this, you know, the treatment and put it out there for real under the, you know, as a Goof and Grump release. It's super cool. I love it. I want to see it in action. I want to play it. I want to try it. I want to see, like, we should try it as a co-op game too, just to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely could see you doing co-op, where basically you're in the same space, right? You just start in different locations and see what happens, and you're probably like, even like, if we're in the same space and we can't both do like a mating roll, or like one of us can only succeed, right? Like,
well, unless we're mating with each other, James.
That's true. I was very specific. I was very specific in this to not give gender to the fly.
Oh, so there you go.
You could choose however you want. You know, I was kind of leaving it open-ended. I might have put like I was considering putting like an appendix out for anyone who wanted to like engage in some kind of like long-term legacy play, where like,
dude,
you
cool.
know, the flies could you choose two parents, two consenting flies from the originate. You know, you basically be creating every time you play, you create like a stable of potential parents, right? And you like kind of record their locations, and then like you could choose two from your completed plays to seed the next play, right?
Very cool.
And that would be kind of a fun.
Well, here's another thought, like, from this kind of exercise though, is like this, because, you know, like we tend to get this like maximalist like direction that we'll take something because we just we can see how we can add features and add-ons and mechanics. But something like this is really one of the really cool aspects about it, is that this could be like a mini game of another game, or it could be something that you could make another type of small one page or bigger RPG that is like taking the silly concept of like the flies with their mutations, and you could put it into another setting. Like, it's not just a silly fly game. What if you're like, okay, well, we're actually going to like simulate mutations amongst a colony or something? Like,
yeah, we'll make a whole game, you know, buzzboard or something.
Yeah,
SWAT
that's
board.
really cool, dude. I love this, and I can see that, like, you know, I can feel that you really put some stuff into this. It's cool. I can't wait to see what it looks like. This has been Alexander Zakis and James Ekdahl of the Goof and Grump podcast. Find more from us at goofandgrump.com. Thank you for listening.